So good evening everyone. So majorly we are coming with short videos where we'll give a detailed analysis of the important issues, important topics that were going on the week. Okay, and whereas the topics which were important for the prelims, where there is no need for detailed analysis of the topics, that will go in the class, will fastly brush up the topics. Okay, so the Gnan-Vapi mass grow and the CRISPR biotechnology, which is in who got the Nobel Prize in 2020. So that was an important topic because our government gave approval for the gene engineering. The gene technology was given approval. We'll see that what approval for what, everything in that videos. So please everyone, these two videos please check in our channel. We'll upload it soon. Okay. So for now we'll take the current affairs. So what it is? So this is a community reserve. It is a village. Numukdong is a village in an Arunachal Pradesh. Why it is in the news? Because these people are fighting to protect their sacred forest from the BRO's road project. So how we'll see, as I told you earlier, in the past 2 weeks, what we did in the past 2 weeks, how to analyze the current affairs. So I thought by now you have understand how to analyze the current affairs. So when we see a topic, what the questions that should arise in our mind? What the question should come? What is that village? What is the location? The geographical location can be a prelims question for us. So when I said it is a sacred grove, it is a community reserve. What is a community reserve? When it is such a sacred place or the community reserve at Arunachal Pradesh, does it have any important animals that need to be protected? So such type of questions should come in our mind first. So what we'll see, the importance of the village, what is the issue, what is the community, what is this community reserve, forest, and also the what is red Indian panda. Next, it is very simple. It is located around this feet high above the sea level. No one is going to ask. The major thing that we have to remember here is this village is just 40 kilometers from Sila Pass. See, we have already know that there is a war going on between India and China, the borders, that we know very clearly along the Arunachal Pradesh. So in 1961 we have an war, and then this place was also at that time is a war battle. This village is a war battle in 1962, 1961-62 when India had a China war. So this is a war battle, it's a battleground. That means it is very near to the China's border. Okay, one. China is constructing roads on the other side of the border, which we know in the Galwan Valley. The China is having a huge road construction, bridges over the Brahmaputra, power plants were constructed over this region. So to gain control over it. So India started this side of the border, constructing the roads and also developing the area for the future, for the future grievances we have to address. So what they did, they started constructing in roads. So this Sila Pass, it is a border between Tawang and West Kameng. I'll show this in the map. So that, and it also is a Buddhist style war memorial. As I told you, it is a battleground. 1961-1962 battle, it is a battleground. So it is having a Buddhist style war memorial in this place. So from prelims perspective, what is an important point for us? This village is near to Sila Pass. Where is this Sila Pass? So this is Sila Pass. So this Tawang is very important area because this borders this Bhutan, China. So to reach this Tawang, and see, here is a river. Here is a river Kameng. So the Kameng river will flows along the Arunachal Pradesh. We'll see that later. So to the Kameng district and to the Tawang. So the pass that is Sila Pass. So this village is just 40 kilometers to this. So prelims question, this Sila Pass. So many times in the previous years they have already asked which pass, which state. So those already questions were given. So we will take this point. So that is the location of that village. Second, as I told you, the borders road organization, this was majorly under the military. They will construct this. So what they did, so they destroyed more than 80% of this 36 square kilometers of forest for a strategic road to Sila. Only to remember 36. They destroyed 80% of the, see, ma'am, then why not need to remember why you brought that there? because I want to tell you what is important and what is not important. See, remembering 36, you will remember it now. But what will happen over a time? We were not going to write it in the exam. I'm not going to write the 36 square kilometers in examination. It's a waste of time. When I'm not writing in the exam, why to keep it in my mind? I have many things to keep it in my mind. అర్థమవుతుందా? మనకి ఏదైతే ఎగ్జామ్లో రాస్తాం ఇది రాయాల్సి వస్తుందేమో అన్న పాయింట్ని గుర్తుపెట్టుకుంటాం, వేరే మనం గుర్తుపెట్టుకోము. క్లియర్ ఎవ్రీవన్? సో 80% of the forest was destroyed when this worldwide fund for nature, this is it's a non-profit organization, it declared this forest as a community reserve forest, and it is rich in biodiversity, and Indian red panda was an endangered animal that was in this forest. It is in this forest. It is a cute one, small panda, red color, so lazy, so it will move from one place to other place, very lazy animal. So a mammal it is. Okay, so and this is a tradition. They also destroyed the traditional holy sites called the traditional holy sites. See, even if you go to the many places in Karnataka especially, or in the Tamil Nadu, Western Ghats region majorly, you will find sacred groves where the local community will come and protect those places. The ownership lies with the local people. So in that way, here the holy site is called. So issue enti, what is the issue over here? The issue is majorly these people were destroying their sacred places. One. Second, they did that without consultation. They have to ask the village committee. We know the tribals or the forest rights, what is that saying that? They have to first ask the local governments, they have to take the permission from the local community, then they have to go further for the deforestation. So they altered all the strategic road was built without consultation and compensation to the local people. That is the issue. Location and then issue. So because of this, the land and the forest ecosystems were dependent on them. So these people's rights were deprived. The rights of local tribal people were deprived. Okay. So when we know this is an issue, maybe UPSC may not ask about this, what is that village, what is the issue, but they'll ask us, what is community reserve forest? What is Indian red panda? So that is why we have to take this topic majorly, to explain you what is community reserves. See, it is a land, it's a community land, either an individual or the community as a whole should come and protect that area. So then the ownership, the rights of that will go to that community. Okay, so that will come community reserved forest. Okay, so the community land, it can be a community land or a private land, can be treated as a community reserve. When they'll treat it as a community reserve, oka land eppudu community reserve ga treat chestaru when individual concerns are agreeable. Vallu, they have to agree that they'll protect the flora and fauna, their traditions, culture and practices, then that will be called as community reserved forest. Then the state governments will notify in the gazettes and the notifications, then they'll say, okay, this is a community reserve forest. And no change in land use pattern. See, they can take it as a community reserve forest and later on they will using it for the other plantations, anything. They shouldn't do that. They should not change any land use patterns. It should be the natural one that was already existing. Okay, so that is community. So what is the objectives of this community reserve? So it will improve the socio-economic conditions. What is that? They have to protect the flora and fauna. So they have to conserve the wildlife and biodiversity of the area. So it is also provide recognition and legal backing to the community initiated efforts. It's a flexible system for the wildlife conservation. These are simple points. So how many community reserves in India? There are 163 and 163 more are located in 5 states. They were spread over 5 states. Nagaland has the most number, which is 93. So the Damuk Along Community Reserve in Meghalaya is the largest one. Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Punjab 1, 2 and Karnataka. These are the major 5 states where we see the community reserves in India. So now we'll see about red panda. So first, see, whenever you're learning an animal from the environment perspective, prelims perspective, what you have to see, what is it, a mammal or what? So majorly, so it is in second. What is the location of it? So whether it will survive in the, see, elephants cannot survive in this high altitude in the Arunachal Pradesh. So they need thick forest. So they can't stay in high altitude, they'll come in the lower areas of the, say suppose this is on Ganga. So they'll have in this lower Shivalik ranges below that where thick forest was there, but not on the high altitudes. So why I'm trying to say is, whenever you're seeing an animal, see, observe it. See now red panda, it's a panda, it will have thick fur. So where it can survive in the cold regions. So when the cold regions in the Arunachal Pradesh, it has to be in high altitudes, majorly. So in the eastern Himalayas, we'll find this. So here in this eastern Himalayas, and then southern and western China. Okay, next. So the national parks, where we'll find this red panda majorly. So it was Kanchenjunga National Park. Where is it? Sikkim. Norfolk National Park, Meghalaya. Balampak National Park, Meghalaya. This is also an important national park which we have seen in the last year also in the news. Singhaliya National Park, Darjeeling, which is in West Bengal. Narora Valley, West Bengal. See, these are on the upper part of West Bengal majorly. Namdapha National Park, which is also a previous year question, which was in Arunachal Pradesh. See, why I'm telling you to understand the animal, because then only you can decide, easy for us to remember the locations where it survives. Easy for us, okay? So that is this topic. So what do you have to do? We have to learn, at least observe where this national park belongs to. Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Still it isn't going on, still we are having discussions over this Indo-Pacific Framework. But this is going to be a huge multilateral organizations in the future. So that is why we have to give an importance for this. Why it is in the news? India stood out of the trade pillar. We'll see this. We stayed out of the trade pillar, which is in this framework. What we'll see in an organization? What is its objective? What is objective? It is a political body, economical body. They came together for the defense. Why Shanghai Cooperation? Why G20? Political body. Or if you take any economic one, it is an economical body. So you have to understand why this organization, what is its objective. The name itself is showing it is an Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. That is majorly for the development of the economy of the region. Next, we'll see members. What are its components? Why this body is significant for us? Why this body is significant for us? What is the expert opinion? Whether on the India's stand? Okay, we'll see one after the another. What is an objective? It's simple. To strengthen the economic partnership among the participant countries. All the time you have to remember in paper 2 or in the current affairs, regular in the conclusions or wherever you'll use, it should be sustainable. Sustainable is a key word which we are going to use for another generation. Because whatever we are doing right now is for the sustainable development. Because we have to give it for the next generations. So sustainable development undali. Second word, Bhagavals, inclusive growth. Another thing is inclusive. These are the major two things. Wherever you want inclusive economy, inclusive society, everywhere you can add that. And whatever technologies we develop, whatever actions we take, everything should be sustainable. Okay, for the long term it should be. So when we are having and strengthening an economic partnership, how it should be? We should not leave any country. It should be everyone in the Pacific organization should develop inclusiveness, economic growth, sustainability. So economy, it should be fair and competitiveness, fair competitiveness in the Indo-Pacific. Why I'm dividing it like this? Now when you want to write, you don't need to observe this. You don't need to by heart. What you'll say? It is an economic framework where the partnership countries will come together to develop a sustainable, inclusive, fair economy. Simple. You can write on your own. So what are those countries majorly? China is not part of it. China is not part of it. So Australia, Brunei, Fiji, India, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, United States. So anyways, we can't bring the North Koreans. So one of these is there. So rest of the, see there was no Laos, Cambodia, those are not there. But we have Vietnam. So it is easy to remember. So if you take like this, Australia, New Zealand. See, these are very too important in this Pacific region, majorly because Australia always want to be part of it. It is isolated. Either they have to go this side or they either have to go this side. So anywhere you see, most of the Asian, you will find Australia. Or if you take any other, most of the Indo-Pacific or any organizations, this will be most important country that will be present in most of it. And it will take the benefits very well. It will reap the benefits. Okay, next. So here we have Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia. Ivi gurtu pettukodam easy. Bangladesh, Myanmar, inka like they also Indonesia, Japan we know, and also South Korea. So these are the major countries, and of course Fiji. Why Fiji? See, they were having, see we can't, it's an island, we can't ignore that countries, and the total islands that were around this Fiji, they were going under the sea. The sea level was increasing, so they were suffering the most. So to develop them, so we are also including the Fiji. They want to join nowadays most of the organizations. So Fiji was an important part of Indo-Pacific region. That is why. Next, what are the 4 pillars of this framework? One is trade. This framework has 4. One is trade. How the trade should be? Free trade, free and fair. The trade should be free and fair. That comes without restrictions. Free means it's without restrictions. Okay, no protectionist measures, all those things. Next, supply chains. How the supply chains should be? Integrated and resilient supply chains. Supply chains along time. How the supply chain will be? See, we'll have forward linkages, backward linkages. So there should be an integration of this. Okay, so integrated and resilient supply chains. Everywhere the buzzwords is, as I told you, climate change, sustainability, everything. So we need clean energy. We all have to work towards clean energy, decarbonization and development of infrastructure. For this we need a technology. If you want to develop a clean energy, we need technology. Especially how can we see, we have to support these small nations by giving the technologies, by exchanging the technology and all those things. Okay, clean energy, decarbonization, and also we want an tax and anti-corruption regimes. Okay, so these are the 4 pillars in this framework. So first here is, but there is a key point. It has 4 pillars. It will give the country the flexibility to choose which pillar they want to be opt out. So India opted supply chains, clean energy, tax and anti-corruption. It stayed out of the trade pillar. India didn't sign the trade pillar. That is the issue. Why India didn't sign? We'll see all those things. Whether we should sign, what is the experts are saying, whether we should sign or not. Okay, we'll see. What is the significance of Indo-Pacific region? See, it shares 44% of the world's surface area, 65% of world's population and 62% of world's GDP. More than half of the world's GDP is in Indo-Pacific region. That region is also having the natural resources, hydrocarbons, or you can say, see, methane hydrates on the seabed. We'll find methane hydrates. See, many minerals are found on the seabed. Seabed exploration is a new thing. So many technologies were coming over for the explorations. So rare earth metals for the fisheries, as I told you, seabed minerals, all these things are important. So for natural resources, we know we need a help of Indo-Pacific region, and important Sea lanes of communication. India's most of the trade is going via Indian Ocean. We don't have much of the options. Each side was Pakistan, that was China. So, we have to go through the Indian Ocean. So that is the reason why we have to be part of this multilateral organizations to get the cooperation. Next, obviously, as I told you, for every international relations, we have to add a China factor. China is aggressively growing in the Indo-Pacific region. It is constructing the Chittagong port, Pakistan Gwadar port, Bangladesh Chittagong, Sri Lanka Haben Batuta, and Pakistan Gwadar port, and also having a very good relations over the Laos and Cambodia. It gave many funds. It also supporting the Myanmar, even though it is having some disputes with the Vietnam, but it also gave good amount of money to them through the investments. So majorly China is controlling this Indo-Pacific region. It's having good control. So to counter that, so we also, this Indo-Pacific framework is important. So what is our interest? 50% of India's trade is centered in Indo-Pacific, and Indian Ocean around carries 90% of India's trade. This is important fact. In further, whenever we say, so there is a need for what is the significance of Indian Ocean, why we need this Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA. So why we have to be key, important player in that, okay? And if we want a freedom of navigation, and if we want a secure sea lanes, we need to have a control over the region. Next, what is the present position? And I told you, we did not join the trade pillar, saying that, what is the reason we said? The rules are beyond the WTO obligations. So India had majorly concerns about labor, environmental standards, digital trade, public procurement. The labor laws in most of the frameworks in the WTO or other US, why we have, whenever we are joining this framework, the major issue that first comes is labor laws in India. They want to relax the labor laws in India, which we won't. So always there is an issue over this, okay? And they will say that we didn't meet the environmental standards. See, to meet the environmental standards, it's costly. Being a developing country of huge population, we have to bring our people out of the poverty. We can't always adhere to the environmental standards. See, there is a time when, so most of us asked, US, when climate change summits, they asked India to sign few of the agreements. So they said, India said that we won't. See, most of the pollution was caused by the developed nations, Europe and America. So Indian minister said at that time, I can't give a blank check on the lives of 100 crores people. I can't give you a blank check. You did the pollution, you people are out of poverty. Now it's our time to bring our people from the out of poverty. So you can't ask us to make the standards that up to your level. So that many discussions went on. I'm just giving an example how this environmental standards we have to follow, because we already signed the Paris Agreement. We agreed for that. But keeping up all the environmental standards that they're giving, it's difficult. Okay, anyways, so these are the major issues, labor issues and environmental standards. See, one more thing, till now, we have seen the Indo-Sri Lanka or most of the things. What will come? Aim of points, what are the buzzwords that we generally come across? Ocean kanapadindante, sea lanes of communication free ga undali, navigation free ga undali, manku akkadunna minerals kavali. It is important for our blue revolution, blue economy. We are calling it blue economy, blue revolution. Daniki manaki chala important. So repeat avutune unnai. So when you are wanted to write a statements, or when you want to write points in the examination, when you what I'm trying to do is, I'm framework develop chestunna, link develop chestunanu. Ippudu meer malli inkoka topic chavutunnappudu, when you're going to another topic, it should not be a difficult one. Malli, if you have to read the sea lanes of communication, if you by heart, you will forget them. Observe that, okay? So that's a major point. So in experts' opinion, whether India should join the trade pillar or not, they are saying, why we are not the part of RCP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which China is dominant player. We are also not part of Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. We are also not part of this. These are major regions that we surrounding this Indo-Pacific region. These are the major bodies. We are not into that. This is an opportunity for us to develop an multilateral economic linkages. When we are not part of that, what we are doing? We are doing single agreements with each and every country. We have to make an agreements. But India should also be a part of multilateral bodies. Now there is a slowdown in global growth all over, like economic growth all over the world. There's a low growth. So at this time, so if we come together, we can join the resources. So there is an inflation in advanced economies. So at this time, a multilateral body, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, will be we can use it for our advantages. And not only that, our exports increase. This is a good point anyways. Indian exports increased because we are reaching many markets. When Indian exports are increasing, I need markets to capture. Say we are in a demographic dividend phase, many startups came over, not just startups, so many programs, many loans. India is having and then going in a very faster way, economic growth, 5th largest. So we need markets to capture. Then Indo-Pacific region is a nice framework for us. Next, Human Development Report. So here also, as I was going to tell you, what is that report? What it majorly mentions? Who gives that report? What are the pillars of it? What is India's rank? What is India's rank? That is must. And of course, China's rank. We need China's, and of course, first and second in a few places. Okay. So first, this is Human Development Report of 2002. Who gives this report? UNDP since 1990. So it report details about 6 different human development indices. 6 human development indices will be mentioned in this report. This is a report where we'll have 6 indices. One of it is development index. So India ranks 132 out of 191 countries. China 79. Okay, guys, please go through this. This is a factual data, as we have less time, so we'll cover the other topics, because I can say human development report, 6 indices, and these are the data. I don't want to give such type of data to useless sitting here, pointless. So that's why I gave you this notes. So please go through that. So it's majorly, the important one is Human Development Index. It covers socio-economic dimensions, health of the people, education and standard of living are important. So how this health, and they are majorly covered under 4. These are the broader one. In this broader perspective, so we have how we'll judge this health: life expectancy, expected years of schooling for education, mean years of schooling, gross national income. Based on these, and Human Development Index was made. You have to by heart these. See, human development. What we need for the development, as I told you earlier. Human capital. What was a human capital? Human capital came kavali? Health and education. It's a human development. So what will need? Health and education. So health for this education. So we'll write these points. These 2 are for that. First 2, 3 for health and education. And the 4th one is, see, when I want to have a good health, my per capita income should be good, my education should be good. So that also determines the development of human beings majorly. See, I'm just telling you how to remember this, that's it. Okay. So gross national income is also important. Next, we also have inequality adjusted. Not just human development is important in this, everyone should develop. So inequality adjusted HDI, you have to understand that. And we have 6, as I told you, 6 development indices. Gender Development Index, please go through these. Gender Inequality Index, this is gender development. This is gender inequality. And we also have multidimensional poverty index. So this multidimensional poverty index majorly This is also poverty. We have to come out. See, 70% of the health expenditure is out of pocket expenditure. They have to pay in India. So, if most of the people in the poverty, they'll go into the poverty because of the health expenses. So, health, see, education and standard of living. So, these three will be majorly come under 10 indicators. So, here you can see the picture, health, education, standard of living. In the health, we'll take off the nutrition, child morality, years of schooling and school attendance in education, standard of living, cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing, assets, all these things will come under it. Anyways, the important, interesting point here is, this is a fact that I want you to remember. Over the last decade, India lifted 271 million people out of poverty. And the Planetary Pressures Adjusted Development Index. So, what it is? So, to reflect the concerns for intergenerational inequality. So, from one generation to other generation, how the inequality varies, what we are giving to the next generation, that should also be included in the Human Development Index. So, that is a new index, that is Planetary Pressure Adjusted Human Development Index. So, these are the 6, literally by heart them. So, very good chances. Already UPSC many times have retweeted again and again. They'll ask the questions about multilateral organizations, members, their objectives, indices and their components. And group 1, group 2, most of this, especially you don't need to remember all the ranks in every index, but you have to remember Human Development Index 130. So, this is how it was adjusted. Please go through that as we don't have much time. So, here I2U2 group. So, what is this I2U2 group? Who are the members of it? I2, India, Israel, U2, UAE, United States. Okay, this is a group. What is this group? See, there is an, I'll tell you, Abraham Accord. How many of you know this Abraham Accord? Abraham Accord. See, UAE, USA, Bahrain, Israel. These are the major ones. So, what they did, they made an accord, agreement. What is this agreement? I'm not going to tell in detail. So, that is majorly to normalize the relations between the Israel and the Gulf nations. Adokoti gurtupetukondi. United States ఏం చేసింది, America, it want to build a good relations with Israel and also the Gulf nations. So, they started this Abraham Accord. Okay. Abraham Accord is to majorly to normalize the peace and the relations between the Israel and the Gulf nations. Okay, sentence. Okay. Now, what is this? What is this I2U2? It is an Indo-Abrahamic alliance. Okay. Israel, same Israel, UAE, United States. Just one more thing is that is India. If Abraham Accord lo evaru unnaru? Israel undi, UAE undi, USA undi. So, and Bahrain. So, majorly Gulf nations could be with these people. Now we added India. That is I2U2 group. Okay. So, majorly why they want to have a maintain peace and security in the West, the balance of. So, this is also this I2 and U2 is known as, also called as West Quad. That is actual quad. This is West Quad. Next. So, what is this aimed for? As I told you, we have to always think what is that objective of that group, political or economical or unduna, defense on. So, majorly for what? What does Israel have? What does Israel got? Technology. Even in the Gulf nations, they can grow a very good they can do very good agriculture just because of the technology. Space, agriculture, or any sphere you take, they are like ahead of many countries in the technologies. So, what we need? Water, energy, transportation, space, health, and food security, and all these things we want investments from the Israel and those nations. At the same time, we want technology from these people. So, it is to mobilize private sector capital, expertise, modernize the infrastructure, low carbon development, and also to improve the public health and for the development of green technologies. ఎందుకు పెట్టారు ఆ గ్రూప్ అని ఆలోచిస్తే ఈ పాయింట్స్ అన్ని మీరు బై హార్ట్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. సో వాట్ ఇట్ ఈస్, ఇజ్రాయెల్, వాట్ వీ వాంట్ ఫ్రమ్ దెమ్, వీ వాంట్ అ గ్రోయింగ్ టెక్నాలజీ, వీ వాంట్ టు ఇంప్రూవ్ ఫ్రమ్ దెమ్ ఇస్ పబ్లిక్ హెల్త్, వీ వాంట్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ దెమ్. మస్తు పైసలు ఉన్నాయి గల్ఫ్ నేషన్స్ దగ్గర, విల్ టేక్ దెమ్, విల్ బ్రింగ్ దెమ్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్స్ టు ఇండియా. సో హౌ డు ఇండియా బెనిఫిట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్? సో one is relationships between, see earlier what used to happen, if we have a good relations with Israel, Gulf nations may not like. If we are having good relations with Gulf nations, Israel may not interested. So now this is a right framework where it is an Indo and Abrahamic alliance. So this is a where we can have a deepen engagement with Israel without risking its relations with Arab nations. So transportation, if you take, is one of the 6 goals. So the Asian bloc brings the focus to Western Indian Ocean. The Arabian Sea and the Western Indian Ocean will concentrate. Anyways, where the China has a very good influence. We need investments, as India already signed with UAE for an comprehensive economic partnership agreement. This is important. This is a big step towards economic partnership. Where we heard this word, India was negotiating with Bangladesh over this because in 2026 Bangladesh will come out of the least developed country to developing country. So they want to take the benefits, so they want to go for an SEPA. So here also we have this, already we have this framework, SEPA. So as I told you, they also gave us a 6-month visa to Indians who are looking for jobs. So you can see all these points. Please go to these are the facts. So clean energy, especially they invested in the, this is important one, hybrid renewal project in Dwarka, Gujarat. UAE invested, US, UAE, Israel invested $330 million. See, just if they ask you what are the relations between Indo-Israel, we'll have to write these points. Memran Lake, Ramsar site. It is an Ramsar site. So why it is in the news? It was recognized as a Ramsar site 20 years ago, but it was under ecological decay. See, when it was recognized under Ramsar site, it will be given more protection. More protection, few activities are not allowed in that lakes. Even then it was recognized this was under ecological decay. So we'll see briefly about this lake, what it is. The second largest Ramsar site in India. The first one is Sundarbans. Next, so what we have to see, it was recognized also National Wetlands Conservation Program. Kumarakom is a bird sanctuary that was under in this lake. It is the longest lake in India. I'll show you the, see this is the lake. This is the longest lake in India. So and the largest in Kerala. So now that was under ecological decay. Point ippudu akkada digadu. Prelims lo that was important is longest or largest or group one, we can use that. So, but the important point is what are wetlands first. Second, why it was, what are the advantages of wetlands, what are the threats, what are the solutions for the threats, what is a Ramsar site, what is a Ramsar site. These are the important ones because India recently listed 11 Ramsar sites. Ramsar is an international convention for wetlands. నేను చెప్తా, అంత ఫేసెస్ వేసుకొని చూడాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. I'll explain you guys. So we got total number of Ramsar sites in India 74 now. That's the reason why not just for the Vemuna Lake this current affair was brought. It was brought for because of 11 lakes. Okay. Anyways, coming back, what is a wetland? What is a wetland? See, a wetland will have vegetation of aquatic plants adapted to unique anoxic hydric soils. Oxygen, there won't be oxygen free soil will be there. So anoxic hydric soils. So they will be seasonally or permanently flooded and oxygen free process in the soils. So this is the first point. Oxygen free process will be taking place in that soils and it will be flooded. Okay. According to Ramsar Convention, the point that we have to remember, which at low tides does not exceed, that low tide of that wetland should not exceed 6 meters. It can be a marshes, it can be swamps, marshes, peatlands, natural or artificial or temporarily filled with the water that is flowing or static, but it should not exceed. Okay, so these are the wetlands, swamps, marshes, everywhere we will find most of them. 90% of the Chennai's wetlands are converted into for the buildings and encroachments. So what are the benefits? Fast benefits, you can go through that later. You have seen this picture. What could be, sorry, tell me the benefits. See, first, this will filter the sedimentation. Water ni filter just sedimentation anta kinda vellipotundi. First, so when the floods occur, this will act as like a gate. They will stop, they won't flood the, see, the major reason for the Chennai floods or the Bangalore, the major reasons for the wetlands are converted into for the building sites, encroachments, that, and resources. We have good resources, fishery resources, fishing people. Have we seen this Kerala wetland right now, right? So it was a huge place for the fishery of fishing families. See, supporting a wide range of biodiversity. Pulicat Lake, what will see there? Migratory birds. What are those birds? Yes, flamingos. So flamingos, so they were rich in the habitat for the migratory birds. So it's a biodiversity hotspots, migratory birds. So see, as I told you, oxygen free, it will store the soil will have a capacity to store the carbon. That will also help for the climate change. Vital means of storing carbon. So acts as a natural sponge against flooding and drought. The fish and rice will feed the billions. It will purify the water. So these are the major, see, e points good through our exam lo. So then what we have to do, we have to remember a wetland in our minds, and then we have to write the points. Pulicat Lake, habitat for birds, migratory birds. Okay, it will replenish. So Chennai floods, Bangalore floods, what's going on? So because encroachment, so they are acting like a natural sponge for the floods. So you have to write the points in that way. So please go through these points. So threats, when we are changing the hydrological regimes, catchment area was converted into the buildings, pollution because of urbanization and also because of the chemical fertilizers, releasing of sewage water, and even if you take this Vembanad Lake in Kerala, so that's famously known for the tourism. So, but the tourism doesn't have these bio toilets, they were releasing the sewage water into the lake itself. So that is another threat for that Vembanad Lake also. So what should be the solutions? So see, every time when you are writing about the solutions, you should include the local people. As I told you, it's governance, participatory governance. We are living in that era. Participation, we need participation from the people, we need participation from the NGOs, we need participation from the local bodies. So what are the local bodies? So local self-governments. Swaminathan Foundation gave a report. We have to follow that report, taking the help of the local communities, fisher folk and farmers. Not only that, when you have to protect the forest, itlanti protection, what points you'll write? You'll write the same. Take the help of local self-government, take the help of tribal people. Same points, but will change. Okay? Next, waste disposal and sewage treatment. All states must establish wetlands authority. And United States had a very good wetland policy, no net loss policy. At any cost, they will not lose any wetland, whatever might be. So if at all any loss in the wetland, they have to develop, they have to compensate it in somewhere else. They have to create a wetland. That is an US policy. Okay. So Hyderabad lost 55% of its wetlands to the waste management and growing pollution. So please go through them. As I told you, Convention on Wetlands, which is also known as Ramsar. It took place, this convention took place in Iran, the place Ramsar. So it got the name Ramsar. So India added recently 11 more, sorry, it made to total 75 Ramsar sites. So I will have to we'll take this windfall tax faster when we'll go. What is a windfall tax? Any idea? Oh, it was already dealt? Oh, then fine, then it's easy. So please go through that. Windfall, what is windfall tax? So what are the challenges of imposing it? How it will benefit our economy? Okay. So please go through those points. So NASA's DART mission. So what is this NASA's DART mission? A double asteroid redirection test mission. Just only from the prelims perspective. Because we are getting, they may not ask us the question directly. In the matching, they'll give you two sets. So DART, it's a program related to space, or they'll give some terms and they'll ask whether related to what. Okay. So what is DOT? It is majorly using in kinetic impact method. So what it is exactly, I'll show you the picture of it. See, they're sending in a spacecraft. NASA is sending in DOT spacecraft. So in future, if we have any asteroid threat to the Earth, so we have to protect our planet. For that reason, they will send this DART spacecraft. So how does it work? This will hit this and will try to just change the direction of it. It will change the orbit. Koncham pakkako ato ito, so that it won't reach the Earth. So here, now that how we are going is, this is an Didymos is a major asteroid. This is a small, Dimorphos is a smaller asteroid revolving around this bigger one. So now we will send this, we will change the orbit of this. This is a test, we are testing it. So that if at all in future, this is not actual threat for us, this asteroid not threat for Earth. But if in future, if we have any threats, that we have to protect our Earth, so they are testing it. So we have like a cube. It is a satellite that was sent by Italian people to the space. It contains cameras, 2 cameras were there. So actually they will be separated and they will observe this spacecraft, how it is going, how it is working. We don't have a clear idea of what is this exact weight. We have idea, but we don't know what is the exact weight of this body, or in which orbit it is exactly revolving. This acts as an autonomous, it will engineer itself. The cameras here will calculate and then will act accordingly. Okay. So what I want you to know here is, as I told you, it's a CubeSat called, like it's built by Italian people. It has 2 autonomous cameras. So they will go along with the DART to transmit the images. See, Draco is a camera that was on the DART. DART also has a camera besides this, but the DART camera in this case, it will take 38 seconds to send the information for us. That's the reason why we sent they was using these cameras to actually look into the issue. Please go through that. National list of essential medicines. Now we have 384 drugs. See, every time the national list will be changed, will be amended time and again. So here almost 34 drugs were added and 26 were removed. Not important the numbers, but what drugs were added majorly? They were anti-cancer, you can say gastrointestinal were removed, and whereas 4 drugs which were several antibiotics, vaccines and anti-cancer drugs are included in the list. Gastrointestinal vi తీసేశారు, ఇవి add చేశారు. Why they will add them to the list? Because to make them affordable. So the point is here not what drugs, which drugs. The point here is what is NLEM. Because we are getting questions, which of the following statements are right about NLEM, such type of things. So what it is, why we are having this body? See, we have limited resources for the drugs making for the greatest number of people. So we want to rationalize that. Ever but the world vaadesesi, if it is not available for the poor people, that should not be the case. Next, the prices of medicines will be controlled by the center, ensuring the lower prices. So, evaithe medicines, those medicines which were listed under this, the prices will be National Pharma Pricing Authority will decide the prices. The center will have the control. So, time and again, as I said you, there will be a changing profile of diseases. Newer drugs will come available in the market and the treatment protocols. Accordingly, this list will be changing. So, what are the 3 important aspects? Cost, safety and efficacy. That is the reason why So we have to maintain this national list. So what? Not only that, so it will be helpful for budget, drug procurement. Drugs government procure chase affordable ga ivvali for the poor people. But it is also decided by this list, looking at the list of NLEM. Okay, guys, as I told you, Gnanvapi mosque issue and the CRISPR technology, which is difficult for us to understand the technology. So that's why we'll take little time to explain. So you watch them in the channel. Okay. So we can go through this topics. Okay, thank you. So any doubts? You guys have any doubts? Able to follow? Okay. Again, I'm saying that don't by heart. Try to, as I told you, give an example first time. Don't leave the balloons in the, if I want to collect the balloons from each and every part of the corner of this room, it will be difficult. If I tie them, it will be easy to grab them. The same case with the mind. Indo-Bangladesh separate chesi, Indo-Sri Lankan separate chesi. If you want to retrieve the information in the exam, it will be difficult. Sea life come communication, navigation, economy, safety, clean energy, sustainable, inclusiveness. Wherever you go, these things will come around. So observe that framework, that analysis, things will be easy for you. Okay? Thank you.